And we are live for day 4 of our 7 days of live videos here to begin 2025. My name is Ryan Hall. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful and cold Saturday morning up here. And I should not be surprised that it's cold up here in Yankeeville on a January, but it still kind of blows my mind. What I want to talk about today is I want to share a few thoughts about improvisation in relation to telling your story and in relation to your goals. Now, I want to begin with a quote by an artist who you may have heard of before. And that quote is this: "It's not the note you play that's the wrong note. It's the note you play afterwards that makes it right or wrong." And that artist was an up and coming trumpet player by the name of Miles Davis. Now, what I get from Miles's quote is that you got to be willing to improvise. You got to be willing to go with the flow. And that's really all jazz music is. There's a basic structure to the song. There's a basic chord structure and all that jazz, but it's all about improvisation off of that structure. But it's also about trusting your fellow musicians on that stage and trusting yourself. Now, for a very big part of my author career, for a very big part of my author career, I was not so much wary of, but I was scared of outlines because I was always such an improvisational writer and pick up on story threads that I was just scared. Like, I knew where I wanted the stories to go, but I never wrote an outline. And as I'm going through Written in the Stone for my 10th anniversary re-release coming up this spring, I'm really seeing where that kind of came into play because I'm seeing story threads that pick up in one place and never get resolved. I'm also seeing 10 years evolution as a writer in the meantime, but that's beside the point. The next book that I wrote, Hello Again, I wrote an outline. And the more that I read that, and I read that, yeah, one thing about us writers is that we read our books over and over and over again, and then again, but as I have read that over and over again, I feel like the story is much better told. I feel like it's much more focused, and it's getting better and better as we go along. And the the outline that I wrote for the Eternal Encore, ironically enough, about a jazz musician, is really based on that. Is really based on how we how we learn to trust ourselves, we learn to trust our instincts and our talents, but also to trust the people in our lives. And I'm using this analogy not just in relation to writing and storytelling, but I'm talking about goals that we have for a new year. I'm talking about, finding new jobs. I'm talking about getting in shape. I'm talking about all the stuff that goes in to new year, new me, right? And it's all about trusting yourself that you've got the answers before you even ask the questions. That was surprisingly poetic, but I digress. It's all about trusting yourself, trusting the people that you have in your life, and trusting the process that it can get done. And that's one thing, and I'm speaking from deep personal experience on this. Trusting myself, trusting the process, and trusting the people that I have in my life has not always been easy for me. And sometimes it is still a challenge for me because, like, I trust the people in my life a lot more than I trust myself sometimes. And that is one thing I am looking to shift here in this new year. And I think that's just about it because when it comes to, I think I got sidetracked a little bit. Getting back to the whole outline situation. I was always afraid to write outlines because I didn't want to be focused. I didn't want to be painted into a box with my writing. But you also got to realize that outlines aren't written in blood. Songs are not written in blood. You can always go off. You can always chase, story threads so long as they make sense. You can always go off on solos so long as it makes sense. But that goes back into that trust piece. So I think I've yapped about enough for today. What is one aspect of your life where you can lean into trusting not just yourself, but your people and the people in your life just a little bit more? It doesn't have to be all the way more, but just maybe 1% more every day. I'd love to hear from you. And we will talk to y'all tomorrow. Have a beautiful day.